Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. When I purchased my original lathe over 4 decades ago, it had a dead center, and I had to keep a little block of paraffin wax to keep waxing the end of it to avoid burning the end of my wood. It was a bad news center and a bad news lathe. Since then, we've developed live centers and chucks, which make a world of difference in turning what we can do. But there are still differences in live centers that perhaps we should appreciate more. This is the live center that came with my mini lathe. It has obvious play in it, forward and back and side to side, and a single point and a very, very large cup ring on it. I really don't like it. Instead, I sometimes use this cone center. I can't use this all the time because it would split the wood, but it is useful many times, and it's a good center. But what tops them all is this OneWay live center that came with my Powermatic lathe. It's also available separately retail. It's expensive, about $120 US, but I think, as you'll see, it's well worth it. Because with this one, not only can you put on the cone center that replaces this one, if you keep track of it, and I didn't, but you can use the threads to do many other things. Such as, for what I've been doing for a long time, is I've drilled out a rubber stopper. There's one that's showing the scars of use, and this one that's showing the scars of use also. This one I drilled too deep and had to put a dime in to rescue it, otherwise the point would go through. But I'll show you in this video how to make your own out of a number 6 rubber stopper, white or black, doesn't really matter. It goes on here with just the friction of the threads, gives the ability to put just gentle pressure without marring the end of your project. A nice safety item to keep a little bit of pressure to keep the wood on the lathe. But when it's not being used that way, it can be used as, of course, with the point, or you can use it to put on various other threaded pieces. So I keep a 3/4 10 tap so that I can make threaded wood faceplates to fit this. So this one happens to be one that I can use to center segmented turnings on the tailstock. This one is a friction center. This one is the Finial Steady, and I'll show you how I made this in this video. And this one is a cup center that I used to use for spheres. And I used this one more recently in the cornucopia to make a compression chuck, or some name for that I used for the rings. I suppose that with anybody with decent talent could take perhaps a blank number 2 Morse taper. This is number 2 Morse taper and a chuck taper on this side, and make something of it. But why do that when you can start with one that already has threads on it and is very versatile? There are probably a lot of options out there, and a lot that I don't know about. So I'm going to show you 2 of my favorites in using this OneWay live center. But I'd like to hear from you if you have your particular favorites or your particular approaches to enhancing the live center and how it helps you with your projects. But for now, let's figure out how to put a rubber stopper on it, or how to make a Finial Steady to go on my live center.
For this project, I'm using a small piece of poplar. I'm pressing it against the face of my jaws with pressure from the tailstock. Then I'm proceeding to cut off the corners and cut a tenon with my spindle gouge. A touch with the skew trims the corner. Next, reverse the wood to mount it securely in the chuck with the tenon. At this point, I'm drilling out the center with a 5/8 inch Forstner bit. 5/8 inch works well for a 3/4 inch tap. To stiffen the threads, I'm flooding the hole with thin CA glue. My glue spout is clogged, and I made quite a mess with the CA glue. Then drill out the hole again to clean the excess CA glue. Now to tap the hole. As usual, I gently start the tap. The live center in a hole in the end of the tap keeps it centered. My lathe does not have a locking spindle stock, but I'm okay with pressing the button with the tool rest, then winding the tap with the locking pliers. Next, I drill a 3/4 inch hole just 1/8 inch deep to let the wood seat well to the live center. For my threaded wood faceplates, I always cut a mortise anyway, just in case, but in this case, I'll use it shortly. After a quick test of the threading on my live center, I can remount the wood to clean off the original tenon and to prepare the surface for glue. Next, to prepare the wood that will be glued to the top of this last block. It's the familiar process: round it off, cut a tenon so that I can mount it securely in my chuck. My live center is longer than the last piece of wood is thick, so I need to drill a 3/4 inch hole just that deep. Then glue the two pieces together and let the glue dry. Now for the last but fun part. The wood is mounted with the tenon into a chuck. I'm using a spindle gouge to do the final shaping. All I really need is to reduce the mass and bring it to somewhat of a point. Finally, drill a small hole to receive the tip of a finial. It's ready to use. I've tried several different ways to drill a proper hole in a rubber stopper. It is impossible to handhold for a drill press, and squeezing it with a clamp distorts the stopper. The best way has been to insert the stopper into a hole in scrap wood. Even then, there is some distortion, so this time I'm going to drill it out on the lathe. I've mounted a piece of scrap MDF onto a faceplate and drilled a 3/4 inch hole in it. Then taper the hole to almost an inch with a skew. This gives good support to the stopper without distortion while I drill it with a 5/8 inch Forstner bit. This size is good for the 3/4 inch threads. Initially, it is a tight fit, but it will loosen in time. Between the style of live center and a 3/4 inch tap, I can make all sorts of jigs to assist in my turning. My Finial Steady is useful for ornaments. I use a rubber stopper a lot when I need just a little tailstock pressure but not specific support. I've also made many different faceplates, cup centers, and jigs. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, tell your friends, and send me your comments and questions. Every week I make a new wood turning video. Please wear your full face shield. Otherwise, Santa will put you on the naughty list. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.